Hey, we are live.
All right, we're live.
Yes, ma'am.
So I don't know if this is gonna work out tonight. There's heavy winds in Vegas. So we're trying to get everything stable so everybody has a good connection. We can hear each other and everybody can hear us. So just bear with us if we start lagging. Let's see. But today, we want to talk about self accountability and self discipline and how it affects your life and affects your mindset, and what it does, the positive things it does in our lives to just have that self discipline and accountability.
Absolutely. Anna Banana is here.
Anna
Hello, Anna.
Banana,
Thank you
hello,
for
hello.
coming. We appreciate the support. Yeah, I think both of us have talked a lot about how having our own self accountability has really helped us grow in our journeys. And because at the end of the day, nobody else is going to hold you to a higher standard than yourself. If you want more in your life, you have to hold yourself to higher standards. And it can be hard, especially when those behaviors weren't necessarily modeled to you. So today we just want to talk about some of those things and how we kind of overcame those. We've got Meredith in here. Hello, Meredith and Reese. Thank you so much for coming in. We appreciate the support.
Hello, hello.
Okay, so I'll just jump in, I guess. For me, I really feel like when I started to realize that everything wasn't my family's fault, is I was sitting in jail at 18 years old. I'd been 18 for less than 4 months. And I had to sit there for about 6 months. And, I wanted to blame everybody else. My family should have seen it. They should have helped me. They should have done better. They should have known more, right? Because it's easy to start pointing the finger at other people when you yourself are the one with the not so great behavior, right? Because at the end of the day, especially as grown adults, we are the only ones that can hold ourselves to that standard. I guess I've already kind of said that, but it's true. So at 18, I was sitting there and I had to think, like, I mean, what good is it going to do to blame all these people around me for what's going on? You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I chose to stay in these situations. I chose to ignore these behaviors. I chose to, not hold myself to a higher standard. And that's when things went wrong. So once I took that accountability for myself and quit blaming other people, is when I really started to grow, because you're never going to be right in every situation. That's just never going to happen.
And it's like little baby steps too when like we're talking about self discipline. Like I used to be like, oh, I jumped into the wrong crowd. Okay, but I made these conscious choices to do the things that I
Mhm.
did to end up incarcerated alone. And I'm like, oh, nobody's here for me. Nobody, like all this stuff. And it was poor me. And it kept me sick. It kept me in this mindset and mentality. And like all these negative things come to you. And it's, once you change your mindset and start talking about your like self-reflecting and talking about you did this and this is what we're gonna do, and you start like having a little discipline in your life, whether that's making yourself, like one of my things is I get up, I do my apple cider vinegar shot, and I make myself go to the gym at least 4 to 5 times a week, and these like little steps that put you on schedule and hold you accountable and have this discipline in your life. um, I think these are just little small steps to one, have a better mindset, more positive energy around you. Like, you're like, okay, I hit this goal today, I hit this goal today. Even if they're minor goals, like it changes
Mhm.
your whole mentality and your whole mindset. And when you're stuck in this mindset of pointing the finger at all of these people, like, where are you going to get? You're not going to get
Right.
nowhere with that. You're going to keep yourself sick, and you're going to keep repeating and repeating these cycles and bad behaviors and stuff because it's not me, it's you, you know?
Right, right. It's always easy to feel that way about it. The other thing that I think is really worth pointing out here is that sometimes as humans, we tend to think like we schedule our days like we're going to be productive for 24 hours. We're like, okay, I'm going to go to the gym.
Oh
I'm going to
yeah.
get the groceries done. I'm going to clean the bathroom, the bedroom, and do the laundry. I'm going to do X, and it's like you start planning all this stuff out. And I think sometimes it's worth taking a
And it's just
look
chaos.
at right at the like first of all like halt that I think it's called an acronym. HALT: hungry, angry, lonely, tired. Those are 4 big ways for you to be easily triggered by your environment, by the people around you. If you're any one of those things, let alone more than one, you are more than likely going to respond poorly to things. So maybe you've had a really rough week. Maybe, you've done some really emotionally exhausting things. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to give yourself a day. It's okay if the best thing you did that day was get up and brush your teeth. That's okay. Sometimes we have those days. And I think it's about accepting that we're not going to be running at 100% 24 hours a day. And that's just never going to happen. Caitlin is here. Hi, Caitlin. That's my sister. Let's see. Sam is in the
Okay,
house.
sister.
We've got After the Bars here. Thank
Bow
you for
chicka bow
coming.
bow.
Lacey, hello. Thank you so much for coming. We've got Meredith in here. If I didn't already say hello, Bobby Jeans, hello. So great to see everybody. We really appreciate all you guys coming out and your support. We're a pretty new channel. And if you haven't seen any of our lives yet or any of our content, we do talk a lot just about life. I guess I have a hard time describing it sometimes. We discuss escaping domestic violence. We discuss how we got out of narcissistic families, kind like with an okay mentality, how we unlearned a lot of things. Being single mothers, we've both been business owners in Montana. We both have done a lot of those things. And, neither one of us is perfect, and you'll never hear us say that. But we do think that the experiences that we've had together and separate can really be helpful to other people. And we just want to create a space where people can come and talk about their stories and feel heard, because it's all too often that the victims are shamed as soon as they come out with any kind of accusations of abuse, neglect, whether that's emotional, physical, and whether it's from family members or a spouse. They're very often pointed at and blamed and ridiculed in many, many ways. And it's not how any of us would love society to function, but unfortunately it's the norm. So we want to give a space for those people to come and be seen and heard and help them get their voices back, because you are the only person that can give your power away. And sometimes in the moment, it doesn't feel like that because so much has been taken from you, but there's always time to take that back.
And also just being like a fun zone too. Come and de-stress, decompress with us.
Right.
Even talking about, I think it was our first podcast that we did. Like we were talking about when I was getting out and incarcerated. It takes one person, like when I had one stranger that believed in me or heard me, like it changed everything for me. It really did, because I felt so alone. And I know that there's so many people that are alone and feel unheard in this world. So we're so glad you guys are all here, and thank you for the support. Make sure you subscribe and like too. Keeps us going, and it keeps more people coming in the chat and being able to share with us and talk with us, and connecting with everybody.
Yeah. So cultivating discipline. All right. This one is hard because I will be the first person to say that I can be the absolute worst at this. My husband's not allowed to even talk about dishes in the chat. You'll be banned. But the ways that we try, you guys. Little ways that I've kind of trained my brain, even from like emotional discipline, you guys. I feel like that's really where it starts because especially when you've been in an environment where you're consistently not having your needs met, you're being gaslit, those kinds of things, it's hard to trust yourself. So much of that is about learning to catch the thought. Like, think of it like you're fishing. Like, you need to catch the thought and hold space for it for a minute. Instead of letting all these fleeting thoughts just pass through your brain, try and hold space for that thought. And if you catch yourself in a pattern of negative thinking, like, for women, I think a big one is body shaming. We all body shame ourselves probably more than any other person could. So I'm going to use this as an example. So if I, am looking in the mirror in the morning and I'm like, God, I'm just really getting big, and looking at myself, I'm going to hold space for that thought. And then I'm going to think to myself, is this something that I want to buy today? Like, am I going to give into this? And truly, if it was something like, if you picked up a can off the shelf and it said, you look fat today, would you buy it? You know what I mean? We don't need that. So we're going to put it back. So trying to hold space for that thought and to think of letting it go in some physical way, put it back on the shelf, throw it into a river, whatever you need to do with it. And the key behind this is to catch the thought, because when you can recognize it, you can start little by little to change that thought pattern so that eventually it's not the automatic thought coming up for you anymore. I don't know if any of that made sense. I hope that it did.
It does, girl. It does. What do you think your
Oh,
like biggest challenge in maintaining consistency for like what you have structured for your day or what you need to get done? Like what's your biggest challenge? Do you think it's your headspace? Do you think it's you give yourself way too much or
I do think it's my headspace. I personally, I have some ADHD. I was diagnosed as a kid and never really took meds until adulthood. But I do think it's super mental for me. Like that whole, like, what do they call that? Like cleaning paralysis. I don't think that's the real word. I think there's some other name in front, but I have cleaning paralysis. I get really overwhelmed by like if there's a huge pile of laundry, I'm like a lot less likely to do it, not because it's like too much. I don't look at it and think like, oh, I just don't want to do that. That's too much work. It literally feels too overwhelming. Like I don't know where to start. I'll get up and I'll be like, okay, you
Mhm.
uh, talk yourself up. You're like, I'm going to do it. I got this. I'm going to get that laundry done, and then you walk over to it and you look at it and you're just like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I think that for me, it really is a lot more of the mental side of it. And also sometimes the physical. It really depends on where I'm at mentally, where like how full is my love bank? How much energy do I have? How much energy have I been giving away? And kind of taking tabs on that so that I know how to plan accordingly.
well like I think what helps like me with that because I am in the same boat. I can't even talk because right next to me is a pile of laundry that needs to be hung up.
Mm,
But
right.
um I don't know the like little things in my life that I set goals every day. Like get up and make your bed the first thing because no matter how
Yes.
big of a disaster your room is, if your bed's made, oh, your room looks clean. Like, it's like
Yeah.
little things that matter. And like when we're putting ourselves in the mindset of, oh, this, and this, like, of course we're gonna get overwhelmed. I want to crawl in my bed when I'm like, oh my God, I have to do this today. I only got this done. And like giving ourselves those little tiny goals at first.
Right.
And one of my big things
Right.
is staying active because being able to get up and make my bed, being able to have a routine of I make breakfast every morning for real. We get up and do breakfast. And I make myself stay active because no matter how much I don't want to go to the gym, like the gym is what keeps me sane personally. That's my personal preference. And it gives me like so much energy. And once I'm done with the gym, I'm like motivated. And it's like it like clears my mind. So just
Yes.
setting those little goals. Make sure you get up and
Easily.
the dishes are done before you go to bed and your bed's made. It seems so small, but those like really like little things put you on track, you know?
Yes.
And really
Oh,
reversing our mindsets too when we are talking negatively. Oh, my house is this. Oh, my house is that. Oh, instead of talking about it and feeding into the negativity that our brain is telling us, like learning how to kind of control that and turn it in a way of, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna get, at least my dishes are done. I got that done
right,
today. And like giving yourself a little
right,
pat on the back that we did those things, you know?
right.
We did something small. And I feel like it just starts growing from there, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a ton of new people in the chat today. I see Summer D in here, Kestrel, Mindy, DS Kitty. Thank you for coming. ASAP Lizzie. Thank you. There's also some really great comments in here. The first one, I am terrible at taking care of myself. Meredith said this. My therapist taught me that was the first place to start with setting boundaries, setting them with myself first. I agree. If you cannot set boundaries with yourself, you cannot set boundaries with other people because you don't respect yourself enough to yet. And that's not like I'm not putting like saying like, oh, anything bad about that. I'm just saying, it's very true. Until you can set boundaries with yourself, with people, and circumstances, you're not going to be able to set them with other people because you won't hold to it. It's just too hard. Let's see. We also have, hi there, gals. First live, got your link last night on Reese's live, here to support and of course listen. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that. Let's see. Caitlin says, sometimes I get home and my give a tank is absolutely
Thank you, and
drained and I
thank you,
just sit
Reese's.
and do nothing. And then I'm mad at myself for not accomplishing anything. I definitely feel that. I do the same thing. It might be genetic. Not sure.
And that's,
Another one
I
here.
feel like that's totally okay. But like when I get home, oh, sorry. Am I lagging so
Oh, you're
bad
okay.
right now?
It's a
I
little bit,
am,
but
huh?
it's
When I get
doable.
home from work, I yeah, when I get home from work, I beat myself up about not wanting to do anything, but I'm a morning person. I get up and I'm like, okay, the house is a disaster. Go get some sleep, refresh, recharge, give yourself the grace. You went to work, you did this, you did that, all day.
Right.
Like we have to give ourselves grace, but we still need to hold ourselves accountable for the little things that we set for ourselves.
Right. Right. I don't, oh, gosh, I wish I could find
Yeah.
it. I'm having a hard time
And
finding
a
it, but
banana
somebody did
sitting
say
still is still
root
what we need to do.
um someone in the chat had said routine helps, and that it does definitely help me too. I like D am very much a morning person. I like to get up and get going like immediately. Nothing will ruin my day faster than a 2 o'clock phone call. I swear to God, you like I can't do anything until that phone call happens. It's horrible. Um ASAP Lizzie said endorphins are proven effective for depression. I agree. And let me tell you something. I'm not a medical professional, okay? But I am a person who has ADHD, and I, like I said, wasn't medicated most of my life. And as an adult, I got medicated, and I just had a group of friends who were all going to the gym often. And so I started going to the gym with them. And I will tell you, hands down, I've taken many medications in my life for depression, anxiety, those things. And my ADHD, nothing has helped me more on a day-to-day basis than daily exercise. It's horrible to like get, the gym is such a hard thing because it's like once you stop, it's like growing out a bad haircut. I don't even know. It's so hard to get back to going. But once you go consistently,
Yeah.
it's just such a routine, and your
It's just
body
a
feels good, your
lifestyle
mind
afterwards.
feels good. Yeah. And so it's like once you get going, it's really not too bad. But yeah, I would absolutely agree. Endorphins are very good for your
And it
depression.
doesn't even have to be the gym. You can release endorphins
Right.
from finding just things that you like and
Right.
you could go find a sport. You could make sure you go to Bible study and like you
Yep.
are happy when you're around these people and you're
Yep.
self-releasing. Like
Right.
it just keeps you going, you know?
Well, and
Making
everybody's
yourself do it,
journey.
making yourself do something that you love to do. Even if you're like, "Oh, I'm tired," just push yourself and get up and yeah.
Yes, Anna Banana says self-care is so important and sometimes just sitting still is what we need to do. I agree. And that's where I really encourage like to people to come up with their own little self check-in, kind of like the little halt thing I said earlier. Are you hungry, angry, lonely, tired? If you're feeling super frustrated that day, maybe just if you can stop and ask yourself those four questions. And if it's yes, then get some water, get some food before you start, making any rash decisions or uncontrollably being unreasonable with your family. Um, let's see. ASAP Lizzie said, "Getting there is half the battle, right? But once there, that's right. It really is." And you know what? I feel like a lot of our mental obstacles come in that way too. They look so like these giant mountains that you just can't even overcome until you start doing it step by step. Because sometimes I saw this little picture and it was like, motivation will get you like this far, but consistency will get you the whole way. That motivation will only get you in and going for so long. If you're not consistent with it, it won't stick. It's going to be so much harder to start and stop so many times. So there's that too.
And it takes 2 weeks to build a habit or and start a lifestyle too. 2 weeks if you can
Yes.
dedicate 2 weeks to something and make sure you're doing it on schedule, it takes 2 weeks to build that habit.
Right. And I think that a lot of the time, especially like around New Year's, right? People are like, they come up with all these grand ideas for things that they're going to do differently this year. But the problem that I've found with most of my own New Year's resolutions is I don't make like a strong enough plan for how I'm going to execute those behaviors. Or B, when it's something, if you're like trying to quit smoking or trying to quit eating sugar or something like that, the biggest mistake that I've made is not finding something to replace that with. Whether that be reading books or, just something that fills your cup. And as I've gotten older, I've learned that different things fill my cup now than did when I was younger. I used to really like going out and having fun drinking with my
Oh
friends.
yeah.
And I'm just at a point in my life now where my needs are a little bit different and mentally I'm in a different place. And truly, I feel like for a long time, especially in my younger years, I used alcohol as a way to escape my reality, which is something that I really try hard not to do anymore. And if I do catch myself doing it, I'll have a pretty good talk with myself or with, the people close to you matter. Like D is someone I reach out to often. I have family and other friends that are all really close that I can be accountable with and say, hey, I'm doing XYZ and just like talk through them with it. It's really important to have those people in your life because otherwise it's just going to be really hard to make it through the hard times.
Yeah, you were definitely one of the few people in my life that I could like call and you could be like, okay, you're being irrational or you're going to justify
Right.
me. And then we talk about the game plan or what we're going to do, you know? And I only have a few girlfriends that we do keep each other accountable like that. And it's a
Right.
beautiful thing to have for real.
Well, and just knowing, I feel like the one thing I've found, because sometimes it's hard, especially coming from, a narcissistic relationship or family or, that kind of thing. It's hard to trust people again. And the thing that I've found is that has helped me the most is just, I have to ask myself, like the people who are closest to me, I've found are people who I don't feel the need to hide things from them and because this is the thing, like D, if I tell her something and she thinks that I may be in the wrong, first of all, she's gonna come at me with love and respect. But second of all, I know our friendship well enough to know that she would never say, like, say I've been excessively drinking, right? she wouldn't be like, oh, you've just been drinking too much and that's why you're crazy. It would be coming from a place of love and concern for me. And I know that about her. She would never say something to hurt my feelings. She would never say something, even just to get under my skin. Like, it's just not something that we do with each other. So if she comes at me concerned about something, that's a red flag for me to really start listening and take into consideration what she's saying. If you can't have those people in your life that you can have that complete honesty and vulnerability with, it can be really, really hard to start finding your way out of these mental patterns and to start building a better life for yourself. Feeling it so super.
Lizzie, she's
Okay.
so cute. She's like, I'm
Yes,
sorry, I'm
I
so
know. And
chatty.
you are not too chatty. The chats be chatting. That's what we want. It says I'm sorry I'm chatty, but it goes back to that overwhelmed feeling. It stunts me, but once I start, I'm focused. Absolutely. Sometimes it's just getting to that point where you start that's hard. And that's where, like, we'll say with cleaning, if I have to, I'll be like, okay, if all I can do today is get these dishes in the dishwasher, wipe the counters and sweep, then I'm okay with that. Like breaking it down into smaller tasks over an extended period of time, or setting a schedule, like, once a week on Mondays I do a quick clean on the kitchen, and on Wednesdays I quick clean the bathroom, and then Sundays is my full clean day. But then schedule yourself time in between that. Say no to some people. You don't have to meet everyone else's needs before yours are met, because that's how we get drained so easily.
I think that is like one of the biggest things I still have a problems with, is because I do want to like appease everybody around me and make sure everybody's good and everybody's this. But God, I stopped saying, but some of my friends want to go out and do all this, and I'm just not a partier anymore. I work in a bar.
Mhm.
I do
Yeah.
not want to go sit in a bar. I don't. I don't. Now, once in
Yeah.
a while, I do. I definitely like to go out and have a good time every once in a while, but now I'm just like, God, I gotta recharge my social battery. You know what I did the other day that I like
Right.
absolutely loved? I went and did my gym sesh. I went and lifted. I did my cardio, got it in, and then I went and found a new juice spot, because I am kind of like, I kind of stick to my routine. I go to the places I'm comfortable in and I know, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go check out this new juice bar. And I met this amazing man. He owns it. He's awesome. It's like a little mom and pop shop. He was just legit. We talked about business, how he got here in life, and it was just like so refreshing. I got my little juice. I sat outside. I read a book. It was nice outside. And holy shit, I just felt so like recharged and refreshed from those like
Mhm.
little I did for myself. But I do, I spread myself so thin with other people, because I'm like, oh, I don't want to hurt her feelings, or I don't want to do this. But like, no, I don't want to.
Yep.
I have friends that are like, please just come out, just for an hour. No, I do not want
Right.
to. I have other priorities. I'm not doing it. That was hard for me for a while. It's like setting those type of boundaries and stuff, because I told myself, I'm not doing that tonight. I'm not doing that. I don't want to,
Yep.
and that's
Yep.
really hard for me sometimes, because I don't want to
Yes.
hurt people's feelings. I want to show that I'm your friend and I love you and I want to be around you. But sometimes I don't. And picking up the phone, sometimes I don't want to answer the phone. It's not that I don't love you, but I don't want to talk to you right now. That's
There's at
okay.
least
I should not be questioned on that, We should not be questioned on that. If we need our me time and recharge and social battery, that's fine. And that's a hard thing for me to like accept too sometimes.
yes.
I'm
There's at
also sorry.
least twice a week. Oh, there's at least twice a week that Dee will call me, and I'll be in the middle of a great jam session in my car, and I'll just answer and be like, "You are so lucky I love you, because I was busting a rhyme just now, just so you know. Like, I just need you to
Yeah,
know that you interrupted my jam sesh."
and then I'll come at you with, don't you remember when we would jam together and we would go on rides and talk about growing hair on the bottom of our feet when we would
Yeah. Oh my God. That was the best. We were like, dude, you'd be
I
slipping.
miss
I don't even remember. It was so funny. Honestly, if we replayed the conversation, if it was recorded, it probably was not that funny, you guys. It really wasn't. DS Kitty or Diane said, I have a hard time confiding in people. I don't want them to have to take on my problems. Unfortunately, this leaves me isolated, not good for depression and anxiety. Well, Diane, we're really glad that you're here. And, I've seen quite a few times in the chats or even in the replays, people be like, sorry, I talk so much in this. You guys never need to apologize. That is what we're here for. And that is the space that we're creating for everybody. Our biggest thing has always been shame dies when stories are told in safe places. And we want to create that safe place for people. We want you to be able to come here and let us know what's going on in your life and the struggles that you're having, and to find support not only in us, but also in the chats. And I it can be hard to open up to people. I absolutely understand that. But also, I think it's important to remember sometimes that we don't get to decide for other people what's too much, right? Like, it's important to remember that, like, you are just as important as the next person, and you having support is very important too. So I think that maybe if you could think about it more like not putting too much on people, and allowing them to tell you, I guess, if it was too much, because I can almost guarantee you that people want to be supportive, people want to be helpful, people want to be there for you. I know that we do. So if this is where you can find that, then chat away. We love that. Let's see. Lizzie said, when you bartend, you don't want to be in a bar when not working. I get that for
Oh
sure.
my God. Can we just talk about my weekend at the bar?
Yeah, wait, really quick though, I really want you to tell them the story about, so if you guys haven't
Rowan.
caught our last live, it was a lot about Dee's story, and it's really good, but it was really heavy. It's a lot. And we discussed domestic violence. There is animal cruelty involved. But after this big, long, heavy episode, I want you to tell them the story about who you ran
Oh, yeah,
into.
it was so beautiful because I'm like, I kind of sat on my bed and I was like, ooh, it was just super heavy to talk about. I don't even think that I've told some of my close friends some of the details about the relationship, because it is really hard to like go back and relive those moments. But I just felt like it was super important to share and educate. And it really was after. So I kind of laid down and I was feeling like, whew, like my body just felt heavy. Like I was like, nope, we're not going to let nobody take my power. Even when I talk about it, we're going to empower yourself and get up and do something. So I went shopping, I went to the gym, and I went to the dollar store, and I went to go get something off the shelf. And this lady was kind of looking at things. And so I kind of reached over and said, excuse me, I'm so sorry. I just got to grab this real quick. And she kind of stared at me, and I was like, oh, did I just make her mad? And she's like, uh, just kind of looking at me. And so I like walk away and I'm like, have a good day, and I'm down the aisle, and she comes up to me and she's like, your tattoos are just so beautiful, and you're just so beautiful. Like your energy is just so beautiful. Like I could just tell you're like in tune with the world. And I don't know, it was just like, it kind of gave me like what's the word for it? Like that I'm sorry, my son has got kids messenger and thinks he's gonna call me back to back. If you hear why did we do this, Mariana? Dang it. But it kind of gave me that, like, I'm doing my purpose right now. And Rowan Dean, please stop. Rowan. So sorry, guys. But it kind of gave me like, I know my purpose, and I know my purpose is always to like be an advocate for people, help people. Like that's what I love to do. And like I love to hear your guys' stories when you guys are chatting and doing vent, do whatever you guys need to do. Like that is why we're here, and it just like those kind of compliments mean everything, because
Mhm.
you do, like, there's some people that walk in a room and you can feel like they are like their eyes are open to the world, they are genuine humans, and you can feel that energy. And like it's so beautiful to like find those connections and have people like say that about you too. But yeah, it was just
Right.
like, it just felt so good. I called Mariana and I'm like, girl, this is our purpose to do this shit, like be here for women and other people and just be an advocate and be somebody that you can lean on or we could just hear you, and
Yep.
it's so important.
So Diane said, thank you. For some reason, I feel okay chatting in this format, more difficult for me face to face. That is so, you know what? Let me just tell you something though. I personally, in my experience, believe that for some reason, especially when you've been through like just so much, especially when it's happened back to back to back, I feel like, and like you've just had no one to talk to about it. It's like you end up venting to the guy in the grocery line, or you end up venting to the gal behind you at the checkout line, or it's like for some reason, it's easier to just tell these strangers your complete story because I think sometimes there's less of a fear of rejection or that like people are for me personally, I think it was easier because I was afraid people were going to call me a liar because I had been called a liar. And so I think it was easier for me to start opening up to other people, but this is the thing I found is that once I was able to open up to those people, it helped me gather my thoughts and how I was feeling about everything. And it made it easier for me to get, sorry guys. It made it easier for me to start opening up to those people too. And even if you don't feel comfortable, opening up to the people around you, we're just so thankful that you're here. So once again, just for anybody who missed it, chatting a bunch in the chat is never too much for us. We love you guys.
Like this.
All right.
Yeah, I've been in an emotional state this weekend. It's been it's high emotions this weekend.
It has been.
I think
Is Mercury
last
and
weekend
Gatorade
at the bar we had a lot of. Oh yeah, is it in the microwave? Are we in the microwave? God.
Oh.
Can I just tell you, our kids are just calling each other back to back on Messenger right now. Do you hear them? He's all in the
No,
bathroom
I can't.
with Paisley. I'm like, "Dude."
Oh my gosh. We thought it would be a good idea because every time we get on the phone, they're like, let me talk to each other. So we're like, we'll just download Kids Messenger. Don't do it, you guys. Don't do it. It was our biggest mistake of the day. I can honestly say that.
He called me 16 times while I was at work. He's all back to back. I'm like, Rowan, I am at work. You cannot call me like this.
Oh, that's too funny. But yeah, I feel like it's just been like there's been a really heavy energy lately. There's been a lot just a lot going on, and I think that it's easy to get weighed down by everything, and that's where those moments of self-care are so important, you guys. I don't know what it is for each and one of you individually, but for me it's taking a long hot shower. It's going on a little drive and listening to my favorite music. It's reading a book. Find like if you guys will do anything for us today, for me, I guess I'll say, do one thing for yourself, please, you guys. Whether that's, just whatever fills your cup, one thing that makes you feel good. And if you're watching and about to go to bed, then just do at least one thing for yourself tomorrow too.
Yeah.
Because it's important.
Go make yourself that hot toddy before bed. That's what I'm saying. Make a little hot toddy, soak in the tub, do something. Because it
Jelly
is.
cat. Oh, a good petty. We love petties, Jelly. Jelly cats, that's our vibe.
I wish I loved pedicures. I hate when people touch my feet.
She does. I forgot. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, Caitlin said, wait till we're teenagers. They'll be calling. You will be the one calling them back to back. I know, but you know what? I'm thinking about getting it in writing. Hazley did promise me that she will always be my best friend and love me. So I do need to get it in writing, but
Rowan told me that he's never going to move out of the house. I said, okay.
So yeah. Speaking of pedicures,
see how you feel.
It's so funny. My sister hates feet, you guys. She really hates feet. And one time I sent her this image from the internet I found, and it was a meatloaf shaped like a foot with onion toenails. And she was so mad. She was so mad. My sister will get so mad. Like, if she sits on your feet on the couch, you're in trouble. You should have been prepared. That's her space.
Did you ever send your picture or your sister the picture of us holding hands with our feet?
No, she would have killed me. She would never talk to me again.
You said that to me not too long ago. Oh my gosh.
I know. We should
We had
make
the
that a
best memory
thumbnail.
sitting by your little fight. No, you know what? It's a terrible idea.
Oh, she said it was cruel. It was
James.
funny. It was funny. We've got some oh, James Collins is here. Thank you. We've got, is that Puka Vista? That's fun to say. I like that. Yes, we've got some people in here. Yeah, again, we just want to say thank you so much, everyone, for your support. We just are so thankful. We just want to be able to have fun on here with everybody and be able to talk through our traumas and our hard times without the shame and guilt and judgment. So all of you guys make that possible. So just thank you again for that. She also said she'll rage. Yeah. She said don't send her the picture. She will rage.
Watch for the thumbnail next time, Caitlin.
She'll unsubscribe immediately. We shouldn't even threaten it.
Yeah. That's just what we do, though. That's what we do. It's all out of love.
Oh my gosh. This is just so off topic, you guys. It has nothing to do with our topic, but since she's here, I have to tell this story because it's funny. So me and my sister spent all of our time together growing up. We lived with my mom, and I was just like attached to her hip. I'm pretty sure I thought she was my mom. And I started kindergarten, and we were in the same school. She's 6 years older than me, so she's a few grades ahead. And so I was going for half days, but she was there. She said she's unsubscribing now. She's there for she was there for a whole day. I was there for a half day. And so when they tried to get me out on the bus, you guys, I would not. I refused. I barricaded myself under the table, like the desk. I pulled chairs in. I wouldn't let anybody near me. I'm pretty sure I remember my teacher tried to get me out with an Oreo and I still refused. I was standing on all 10 toes. And so they had to go get my sister out of class to come down to my classroom. And she's walking down the hall and she said all she heard was me screaming, I was not leaving without her. I was like, and so, yeah, my poor sister had to get pulled out of class to come down to my classroom to get me on the bus so that I could leave the school without her. So funny.
Oh,
that's so funny. Okay, sorry guys, that was really off topic, but that is hilarious.
That's okay. We don't really even have, I don't know, we kind of just jumped into a topic today. We wanted to get on here and say thanks for the support and all of that. We kind of just wanted to chit chat tonight.
Do a little Q&A. If you guys have any questions for us or things that from our previous episodes that you want to know more about, just let us know in the chat.
She was under
yeah. She was under a table with chairs around her. I'm good, you guys. I get what I want. I've had to unlearn that behavior. It's been hard. My husband would agree.
Yeah, and he's like, she didn't unlearn it yet.
Oh, Lacey said she did that to her brother. Yeah, something about the older siblings I was the baby. My dad had 2 kids after I was maybe 12 or 13, 12, I think. And he had 2 sons after that. And I always told him, I was like, just so you know, I'm still the baby. Like, I'm the baby. Yeah. At 29 years old, I'll stand on all 10 toes. I'm the baby.
Do you know what I used to do to just like hang out with my older brother and my older cousins when I was little? So they used to like take all the like rotten wood or plywood or whatever we had in the back, and they would build bike ramps. And in order for me to hang out with them, they would make me sit under the bike ramps so they could test them. I said,
Yeah.
okay. If that doesn't tell you I'm a people pleaser, I don't know what will. Because I said, hell yeah,
Right.
I can hang out.
Oh man. Lacey said that her and her brother were 6 years apart too. Maybe there's something about a 6 year difference that just makes you really attached. I don't know. I
They never.
also, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Is she still there's not to just tell sibling stories, that could be boring. But one time I was, gosh, 9. I would say 9 or 10. I don't know if Caitlin's in here. It's when we lived in the cottage. Um And my sister was right at that age where she was starting to kind of sneak away and party with her friends. And I heard them talking about this party they were going to. And I was like, I'm old enough now. I'm grown. I know things,
Yeah,
right?
we're good.
So
Yeah.
I went and hid in the back seat of their car. And if you know anything about teenage girl cars, it was easy to hide. So I'm under like all these
Under all the
blankets
clothes.
in the back
Yeah.
seat. And I feel like I've been there for ages, you guys. I felt like I stood strong. Like I felt like I'd been there a long time. And finally I pop up in the back. I'm like, where are we going? And they were like, blah. We're so mad. And it had been like 2 blocks, you guys. I really didn't make it that far. I was really determined to go party with them. I thought it was going to be a really good time. Okay. Jellycats, can you talk about why people stay in abusive relationships? I did and understand it. I feel many don't understand. Jellycats, I love this. I think that this is a really great thing to talk about. Do you want to go, Dee?
I just think that, that was definitely like one of the biggest reasons why I did share my story is to kind of like give an understanding of where your head is when you are. And like, it's so hard to describe too, because we can talk about the manipulation and everything, but when you go back to it, if you don't see that person's body language and energy and tone and how they describe things to you and how they love you and how this and that, like you'll never really understand it. So I think there's so many factors of why we do stay in these type of relationships. And this is also a huge thing of self-discipline and boundaries and within ourselves and healing ourselves. A big reason of why we
Yes.
stay is because there is a part of us that's a little broken inside and we didn't hold those boundaries and we question ourselves. And to be able to not question our gut, because a woman's intuition, I'm telling you, is never wrong. I,
Mhm.
I know exact. I felt things that I'm like, oh, that's crazy, but also some of these things that our abusers do are so out of pocket and outlandish. You can't wrap your mind around. Um, it's a play-by-play for them. It's like
Mhm.
they wrote down all their plays in a game, and this is how they're gonna do it, and this is how they're gonna say it, and this is what they're gonna do to keep you on that little rope. They've studied you, they've studied who you are, what you want, what you think, what they know exactly how to keep you there in that state. And even when we don't want to stay and we try to, it's like it's a never-ending cycle until you break it and you break yourself a little bit, because what the fuck are you doing? What
Right.
are we doing still here, still in the same cycle, still going through this? And I think it takes back to self-reflect on ourselves of why we stay in these relationships. um
Right.
because there's a lot of manipulation. There's love bombing. They'll tell you exactly what you want to hear when you need to hear, and they'll break you down when it's time to break you down. They know it. They've
Right.
studied it and they've done it their
Right.
whole lives. And to
Well,
find somebody that's so calculated in this world, and you're not a calculated person, and you're not have ill intent for people, it's really hard to wrap your mind around those type of things of how people would actually do that. You think, no, they would.
yep.
Who would? You know?
Right. And what a lot of people don't understand, especially from people who have grown up in addicted or narcissistic or abusive families, and then move on to find that same partner, and then move on to find another partner like that. It's a cycle. And people will be like, "Well, you were in so many relationships like that. How didn't you see it?" Okay, I want to challenge you. So I want you to drive to work the same way for 6 months and then just switch up the route the next day. I guarantee you 3 or 4 times you're going to go back down that old route out of habit. And that's what happens. These behaviors and patterns that we learn to accept about ourselves are what make us continue to make these choices in these people. And I've said this before, but just in case anyone hasn't seen our previous lives, I had a therapist tell me once that I was choosing the partner that I was because I was trying to fix him in ways that I couldn't fix my caregivers growing up. And I'm going to tell you guys, I really sat on that for a few days. I really like, I'm sure that everyone in here has probably had at least one realization at some point in their life where it just kind of takes you aback. You're like, wow, I really never thought about it like that. And once I recognized that, it was easier for me to start taking those steps. But what people don't understand about these abusive relationships is that while you are unbeknownst to you, you're falling in love with this person and you're like trying to trust yourself. You're telling yourself it's going to be okay. And all these things. And while you're doing that, this narcissist or this abuser is taking notes. He's taking notes, or she, they're taking notes on every trauma, every hurt, every broken place you have, and they're learning which strings to play. They really are. And so you are falling in love and feeling safe and comforted in this person because they're mirroring exactly what they need to be for you. They have plenty of experience doing it. So, and that's what people don't understand, because if somebody was screaming at you or hitting you or being crazy with you right from the beginning, you wouldn't stay with them, right? That's just common sense. So the pattern changes. You know what I mean? Over
And I
time.
also, yeah, I also just want to, James commented, I feel people stay in abusive relationships because they feel better, or they feel they don't deserve better, or can't do better, and are afraid of being alone in some cases. So I want to touch on that because I don't 100% agree with it. The I think that there's a lot of people that know what they deserve and that still get in these relationships afraid of being alone. Yeah, there's a lot of codependent factors that come along with it. There's little things, and I think that everybody is different in that aspect, but I mean, some definitely. I mean, there's some people that are
Yeah.
broken and or just don't want to be alone and have a very poor self-image. But I guess I'm going to speak on for me. I don't think that I had a poor self-image at the point that I entered my toxic relationship. I think that I have been around a lot of violence in my life, and I've been, and a lot of it was the my understanding for people, my it's too much of an understanding for people make mistakes or people go through things, and we're healing from certain things and traumas. And my case was, his first thing was to blame it on PTSD in the military, and at this point, I love this man. I'll work that out with you. You know what I mean? I'll that it won't happen again because we're going to regulate, we're going to not drink, we're not going to do this. And but I don't think that I ever had a poor self-image. I do think I had a lot of codependent factors.
Absolutely.
I wanted to be loved so bad, and that was, I don't know. I did. I wanted love. And when somebody told me that they were going to love me this way and I fed into the words versus the actions, that's what kind of got me there too. Is
Right.
I wanted the family. I wanted the beautiful happy ending. I wanted my barbecue backyard best friend, like I just wanted
Right.
that one person. And
Right.
and that's what he told me he was going to give me. And the actions, I let the words speak louder than the actions.
Right.
And
Right. Or
yeah,
falling in love with their potential over what they're
exactly.
showing
Yeah.
you. I think that's
Yeah.
really what ends up happening. Caitlin said it doesn't take long of something or of someone telling you that no one else will want you over and over before you start to believe it. It's true. They start to break you down mentally and emotionally for long before most victims are willing to come out. I mean, a lot of people have been beaten down emotionally or even physically for a really long time. And two, that something that in my experience with narcissists is and just abusive people in general is they'll be like, no one will believe you. They won't believe you. They'll believe me because I have the money. I do the things. You know what I mean? Like it's always been like these things that they hold over my head. And that's where I don't know, for me, like a gut change that I had and where when I started taking accountability for myself, was when, they'd start throwing things in my face. And I was like, okay, I'll never let you throw that in my face again. And in the strangest way, it made me a better person because they were throwing all this stuff in my face that I wasn't doing necessarily right. And they were right. They were right. But I'm not going to give you that power again. So thank you. You know what I mean? That's kind of how I started to take it.
Yeah. Well, and with that too, consistency, like consistency and how consistent they are when they are trying to get you back and you're just trying to leave. That type of, even with friendships, I've done that with friendships, I've been way too understanding of how people treat me. And you know what? Fuck that. I have is there a time that you could think in our friendship that I intentionally came out to hurt you, or I knew that something would hurt you and I did it anyway?
No,
You
no,
you don't do that. You don't do that.
no.
As genuine good humans, you don't do that. You don't go out to hurt people. We're not malicious. Like, and that's a huge realization for me too. I don't give a shit what you went through. I've gone through a lot of shit too. We all have our past. We all have our traumas, but the way you treat people and how you act is your fucking character. It is, point blank, period. That's it. And to have that realization and stop being so understanding for people because, oh, I went through this and this is why I'm fucked up. No, you're fucked up because you're fucked up. You did not
Right,
do the self work that you needed to, and you decided to put your shit on me, and I'm not going to take that at all.
right, right. Ree said, I believe we gravitate to the familiar. Your programming and conditioning from childhood draws you to certain characteristics, and you can mistake the familiar for chemistry. Yes. Say it louder
Thank
for those in the
you.
back. Absolutely. It's
Oh,
1000% true. I know we need like a little, like, I don't know, we need something.
like snaps? Can we do snaps in here? Like the little poetry
Yeah,
stuff?
round of applause.
Yeah.
Yes, and that is where, so I feel like one of the first steps I started taking for myself when it came to my toxic family was asking myself like how is this behavior serving me in this moment, whatever it is? Is it serving me well, or is it not serving me well? Because if it's not, I need to let it go, you know? And truly, once I started recognizing the patterns that I was familiar in, once I felt immediately comfortable with somebody, I was immediately thinking, this isn't well. This isn't good. This feels too familiar, right? It feels too easy. Um, and it's really important to think about those red flags. I feel like some of the biggest red flags with narcissists and abusers is like rushed affection and them getting married extremely quick or trying to move in with you very, very quick. It's usually a red flag. Not in every case. I'm not saying that in every case. That's actually exactly how me and my husband got together. And so it's not in every single case, but just paying attention to those things for yourself. And if you're used to growing up in that trauma and in that environment, when you feel immediately comfortable around somebody, maybe just ask yourself like, hey, I'm going to take a few steps back, put some time frames on it. I'm going to give myself 3 months hanging out with this person before I make any major commitments. I'm going to just set those boundaries for yourself, respect yourself first. And that can just be one way to really help keep you out of those situations. Caitlin said, I had to forgive and push so much stuff under the rug as a child. As I got older, I went so far the other way. I quit giving forgiveness, and I am now working with a counselor to find a happy medium.
Yes.
Absolutely. This is a tough one because I feel like I'm going through this currently, like through with my therapy as well, where I'm learning to grieve for that little girl who didn't have what she needed But to also forgive myself for not knowing better, forgiving myself for not being able to do better. And for me personally, this may not be everybody's experience, and that's okay. I also had to forgive the people in my family for doing what I do believe was the best that they could. They didn't have the resources that we have now. They didn't have the help, and mental health was such a stigma even 10 years ago, that like we've evolved so much since then, that I think sometimes we start to forget the standards, what they used to be and what was allowed to be talked about.
Mhm.
But I do think that the hardest part for me was really forgiving myself, because until I did that, I wasn't able to forgive anybody else.
I think I still have like that forgiveness factor, but I do immediately write people off. And
Yeah.
and I still feel like I'm justified in most of it, to be completely
Right.
honest, because
Right.
I'm so fed up
Yeah.
with it. I'm so fed up with
Mhm.
it. I've been the giver my whole life. I've always, oh, you I need $21. I have $20 in my bank account. I'm gonna give you $21 in overdraft to help you, and not, like, and
Right.
I drain myself from that. So the minute that people are quick to do something I wouldn't do to them, it's like the saying we got taught as a child. Now I lost it.
Teach teach others how you wanna be treated.
Don't say things that you wouldn't want said to you, or all of those
Right.
things. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like that's a very basic human decency. Like, come on, I'm not going to give people chances anymore. I'll forgive you. That's cool. We can be cool. I ain't got no hate. I ain't got no ill will against you, but I'm not teaching people how to act. I'm not. I'm
Right.
done with that era. Brush that off. You go heal over there. You go fix that about yourself, but you ain't gonna bring it over here. You're just not. Like,
Right.
I've worked so hard to have a peaceful home, a
Right.
chaos-free life, drama-free. I don't have no drama. The only drama I got is the couple at the bar fighting when they get too drunk. That's the only drama I ever have in my
Right.
life. And
Right.
uh, there I refuse to have it. Life is way too beautiful, and there's way too many beautiful people out here to sit in a room with people that may like you, may not, but they say they like
Right.
you, or they say they have
Right.
good intent. You show by your actions.
Right.
It's very
Absolutely.
easy to read that now, I could
Right.
tell when somebody is faking it till they making it the minute they start talking. I can.
Right.
Been
Right.
around it so much. I know, I just my sister, when I first moved here, had a boyfriend, and he's a little questionable. He's a little weird, and I just I made a comment because me and him kind of got into not an argument, but different opinions, right? And I said something to her, and I'm like, it's not anything about the conversation we just had, but I'm going to tell you, like, that is a narcissistic man. And she's like,
Right.
just because you were in that type of relationship doesn't mean it's everybody. And I'm like, I do not use the word narcissist lightly.
Right.
When I say it, I know it. 1,000%, dude, because people do
Right.
use narcissist way too lightly. Oh, he's a narcissist
They
because
do.
he didn't call me back. No, that's not it. And I always put it's the energy, it's the tone, and it's called the 1,000-yard stare. This is what I call it, 1,000-yard stare. And it's when they are speaking to you and they might be looking at you, but they're still looking past you. They're higher than you.
Right.
And whatever comes out of their mouth, they're gonna believe. They don't give a shit what the other factor is or whatever, And I'm just like, I don't know. I can read it. I can read it. I can feel it. The minute that somebody, their body language, the way they look at me, their tone, I'll pick up on things that people would never pick up on. The way that they said something in
Right.
a comment, I'm like,
Right.
like, it's
Oh,
just,
yeah.
I've just
I
learned
can
to know my intuition and know my gut. And you know what? Turns out that he admitted because he like lost his temper on her roommate's dog in front of the whole family, meeting them for the first time. It was really weird. Okay. Really weird behavior, really strange. And he ended up telling my sister one night that he had to teach himself how to feel. And I'm all ding, ding, ding. Dee's not just telling everybody they're narcissists. You know, like.
You're like, you don't have to say I told you so, but.
They'll never admit it, but I told you so.
Right. Absolutely. Like I can definitely, like, if you're trying to tell a joke about me, but you're making fun of me, I know. I absolutely know. And I might not call you out on it right away, but just know I know. I know
I'll
you
call
will.
them
I
out
don't
for
know.
you.
I am almost of the, like, with certain people, I don't, not like those very close to me. I don't let people close to me like that. But like, say that I reconnect with an old friend, right? And I catch them in a little white lie once or twice, or they say something a little on the square to me once or twice. I'll let it go. But
Yeah.
I'm on alert now. I'm watching. I'm watching you. I know.
Well,
You know what I mean?
and sometimes that confrontation is not worth it when you know they're going to be explosive or they're going to come back disrespectful because you said something, you know, that's not really true. And then they get disrespectful with you. Here's the thing is, I'm healing, not all the way healed. Okay. Do not come at me crazy. Don't.
I love that.
Just don't.
Sam has a shirt that says "I'm saved, not soft," and I love it.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites.
I need that. Can we
Right.
make that on some of our merch?
I think we should. Lizzie
Sam
said,
gets
but
free
I will.
t-shirts for life.
Right. But I will stand by my beliefs. I am passionate and fiery, often to my detriment. If I feel an injustice has been committed. Lizzie,
Yeah.
I am with you. I won't say I personally did it on my own, but I did take down a beauty school.
She did.
The owner,
I watched
the owner was scamming these women out of their money. He was stealing their financial aid, literally. And it took me a long time to get people to listen. It really did. And it made my entire schooling experience miserable because I was on their radar the whole time. Because people were complaining about everything. So you know what I did? I started handing out grievances because I'm not going to listen to you talk about it. If you want to complain about it, complain to the people officially and we'll get this handled. But otherwise, quit talking about it if you're not going to do something, right?
You know what? I still have a resentment that you didn't walk out that day with me.
I should have. I'm sorry.
Because I stood up. I made a whole speech in that school. I was mad. And I stood up and I thought everybody was going to stand up with me. And I marched out of there by myself and got suspended.
Got sent home. Yeah, guys, this was horrible. So I tried to turn this recording into state board. Unfortunately, Montana is a 2-party authentication state. So legally, I was unable to. In this video, it's about 30 minutes long. You hear the owner of this school just berating us, cussing at us. Like, basically, I don't know if he ever name called. I'm pretty sure that he was name calling, though. Like, you stupid little da-da. And literally at one point, he was like, because we were all complaining. We were like, you keep changing the fees. You keep changing the rules. And then if you break the rules, you get sent home. And you know what happens when you get sent home? You have to pay for that whole day out of pocket now. Your financial aid no longer is covering that. Yeah, and so he was just sending people home. And so we were
dumbest rules. You could, in beauty school, you had to wear like black pants. They couldn't be yoga pants. They couldn't be jeans. They had to be these slacks. But if you had like these nice looking pants with pockets, some people could get away with it. And then they were sending people that they didn't really like home. And then when you clock out, you lose your hours, plus you pay for the day, plus you pay for missing school. Like, it was just like, it was ridiculous. I've never heard. And then he thought he was going to come into a room full of catty ass women and talk shit, and that was going to go over.
He did. He tried.
Okay.
It shut down not long after that. But no, he was in there and we were all complaining and we were valid, you guys. We were valid in our points, you know, and we were coming at him respectfully. And you know what he said? He looked at us and he pointed his finger. He was like, you guys read your contracts. I can change these rules anytime I want. And I couldn't turn it into state board. I was so mad. And even the legal team that I was speaking with was like, man, it's unfortunate. This is kind of the circumstances people end up in. And it's scary that people can act these ways behind closed doors and run businesses and channels and all of this stuff. And you just don't know. You don't know. You just have to have blind faith, right? Not me.
Yeah. No. Hell
Like,
no,
not
that
me.
it was just a bunch of bogus. We'll get into that one day. We gotta talk about Bold Beauty.
Right. Diane said, did you
Yes.
two meet
Oh,
in
sorry.
school? Sorry.
Oh, you're okay.
Keep saying it.
We met before that. We met when we were actually in a program. Mariana was in pre-release, and I was in a inmate worker program. You went to treatment, correct? And I was
Yeah, I
getting
did 30
out.
days.
Yeah, I did. I was in prison, and I was in a like a pre-prison release program essentially. We didn't really like each other when we first met.
No,
But
you
in
didn't like
beauty
me.
school,
We need that on record. She didn't like me. I liked her. I liked her. I wanted her to
okay,
be my
let's just say
friend.
I was a bitch. I was a bitch. I was a bitch.
But you had trauma. You had trauma with these
Don't keep
women. I
giving me
understand.
excuses, Mariana. No, I did. You know, going through I was locked up for 4 years, and having somebody that was as sweet as Mariana was very uncomforting because most of the time people that were sweet like that while you're incarcerated have ulterior motives. And
Yep.
also, it wasn't really even Mariana, it was her dumbass roommate.
It was.
Oh,
It was.
I love you too.
I loved this roommate though because she was so intolerable that they would
We're
not
almost
put
done.
anyone else in our room. There was normally 4 women to a room in the pre-release. And just in case anybody doesn't know in here, pre-release is basically transitional living. So I was in jail for however many months, I don't remember anymore. And then I went into the pre-release, or to the treatment center, which was on the 3rd floor of the pre-release has 3 floors. The bottom floor is the pre-release where that's transitional living. Those people get to go into the community work. They basically work their way out of this program. The 2nd floor is holding. So if you like went to jail and they needed to send you somewhere else, but they didn't have room for you in the jail, they would probably put you there. Or if you got trouble in the program and you were going to be shipped out to the prison or somewhere else, they'd put you on the 2nd floor.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like a holding facility. And then the 3rd floor was treatment, and it was 30, 60, 90. So one of those increments you were going to do. So I was in.
He's like jail, okay.
It is.
But
no, you're okay.
When me and Mariana like figured out, like we had like definitely similar things that happened in our childhood and with the adults in our life, and then we both were incarcerated at a super young age. We went into our addictions at a super young age, and like Mariana is somebody that I just like held close to because there's people that you know that are going to go back to it, and then there's people that you know that are going to change their lives for the better. And me and Mariana, I was definitely in a really broken spot when I met Mariana too. Like she really did help me through a lot of shit. But when we initially met, yeah, it was interesting. But it was more so of the roommate situation that kind of
because there was. Do you remember there was a I don't remember what happened, but there was something popping off because there's a TV room. You can have a TV in your room, but it can only be like 32 inches or something. But they have this big screen TV in the TV room and everybody has to share it. And I don't remember what happened. Something happened and my roommate started talking, and being all aggressive and whatever. And D, being D, was like, "You're not talking to me like that." So me and D never actually got in a fight, but by proxy, she just kind of was. But that's understandable because
I said, "I'll
I feel
fight
the same
both
way
of you.
about
Come
people.
down to the TV room."
The people that you hang around reflect the kind of person that you are. Show me the 5 people you spend the most time with, and I'll show you your future. I believe in that. So there's a lot behind
the people
that.
you surround yourself with. Yes.
So I don't know, D. It was what 3 years later that we went to beauty school.
Not even. I don't think it was that long. I went to beauty school maybe a year and a half after I was completely released.
Okay. So
you were released a lot earlier before I was, so because I hadn't finished my program, I was in TL. I had a lot more stipulations because I was on parole. And also asked, do you think jail was a good thing for you both? Fuck yes.
Yes.
Fuck
It saved
yes.
my life.
It
It did.
did. And I won't even say, okay, so here's the thing is if I would have got just out of county, I don't know where I would be, to be honest. But it was the women that I met in there, and it was the people that I talked about. Blackie, I'll never stop talking about Blackie. Blackie was amazing. She was in my TL program, but there were a lot of people in the system that like really saw something in me, and I knew what like I got flopped. I did say a year, but I in the previous one I actually got flopped for 6 months. In the prison. I want to correct myself on that now, but when I got flopped, I like it was so hard for me to like realize that that was happening because I already
Right.
been there for almost a year and a half. Um, I thought I was getting out and I caused so much chaos. I was in the drama, I was in the chaos, I was in the fights, I was constantly in the hole, like for stupid shit. Like,
Mhm.
but like having that realization of like that is not my purpose in life. That's not who I am. Like, yeah, I think it was absolutely great for me. I do. But if you
Right.
do surround yourself with the wrong people in there and you build more of a criminal mindset, you can either go one
Right.
way or the other, and that's it. You either feed into it and you stick with it, and then you repeat the cycle, just like a
Yep.
toxic relationship. You
Yep.
are in this toxic relationship with the system and yourself because you're not self-reflecting. But no, I do think that the programs I was in saved my life for sure.
Yeah. Diane said, what is flopped?
Flopped is so when you go up, you go to the parole board, so you don't know when you're necessarily getting out. You have how long you are sentenced to, and that's the max you can be in there. But in the state of Montana, when you're doing state time, you do a quarter of your time, so you're eligible. Hold on, I can't talk about this right now for just a second. Mariana, you want to take it away?
Yep. Yep. So you go and see the parole board at your parole date, and they've got two options basically. They're gonna release you or they're gonna flop you. Flopping means that you have to stay for a determined amount of time longer. Sometimes it's 6 months, sometimes it's a year, sometimes it's 2 year. It really depends on how long your sentence is and kind of honestly the program you've worked while you're in there and the kind of charges you have. Like I feel
Mhm.
like in general, like people who like to diddle children, abusers, violent offenders, those kind of people typically do not get parole right away. They will get flopped. So that is what flopped means. Ree wants to know, she said, you don't have to answer what put you both in jail.
We're here to
For
be real
me,
and raw. Let's, yeah.
right, I'm
I
like,
mean,
I
you
don't
could ask
hide
us
it. I
whatever. I'm an
either,
open book. It's not
yeah,
who I
we're,
am. It's not who I
yep.
am anymore.
And it helped build us into the people we are today. And I believe that we have been given this experience in life to be able to help other people come out on the other side and know that there's a better life to live, right?
You can come
So,
from anything and rebuild your life. It just takes a little bit of ambition and self discipline.
yep. So for me, I had been doing drugs since, gosh, for a while. It'd been a while. And I met my ex-husband, and I just thought he was the coolest gangster I ever met. Um,
Loser.
Jerry Springer could totally have a whole episode on it. But
Loser. Jokes.
um yeah, I was 18. I'd been 18 for well, I got arrested in December. My birthday's in May. So it was like 6 months, I don't know, somewhere around there. So I'd been 18 for about 6 months and I met this guy and it did not take me long to go very far into that other life. When I first met him, I was just kind of using here and there. I was still functioning. I was still doing things okay. And he took me so far to that other side. So my charges that I actually got charged with were accountability to felony theft. So there was a high speed chase that happened. He was driving a stolen vehicle and the chase ended in a crash and we were taken in by the police. And So technically in my sentencing, I got charged with accountability to felony theft, which means I did not steal anything. But I'm accountable because I should have known that that car was stolen, knowing his history and XYZ. So basically, the courts held me accountable because I didn't call the cops and I didn't leave the situation. And I ended up getting 9 years altogether for that. It was a high speed chase with us, and the car was stolen, and then it was basically totaled. And so at that point, the value of the car exceeded a certain amount, so it was a felony. I do feel like they definitely made an example of me, like kind of like when your parents tell you, I always tell, this is like my spiel for kids. Like when your parents tell you the people that you're hanging around with will actually get you in trouble, they're not lying. Like I truly, and like hand on everything, I did a lot of things wrong, guys. I wasn't perfect. I didn't steal from people. I might have stolen from Walmart. I don't know if I can say that on YouTube. I don't know, but I definitely didn't steal from people. Like it's kind of like a weird thing. And so, yeah, they got me with accountability for that. Caitlin said, I can attest Mariana is a whole different person than she was when she went to jail. She's grown so much. Thank you. It took a lot, you guys. I mean, my sister, I got OR'd one time, which means released on your own recognizance. It means you don't have to pay a bail. You don't have to do any of that. They just let you out under certain conditions that you like check in and show up to court, all this stuff. My family was like, honestly, I'm sure very, very relieved that when they found out that I'd went to jail. Well, it was my first charge. I'd never been in any trouble, so they let me back out. And 6 days later, I got rearrested, you guys, in another stolen vehicle. And I feel like that's when they really decided to just like throw the book at me. Yeah, they were like, no, we're not doing this. And it saved my life in many, many ways. It really did, because had my ex-husband not taken me that far into that lifestyle, there's a very real possibility that I would still be piddling around. He showed me that other side, and it was so scary and so real. And that's when I knew that I want to say better than that. And I don't mean it in a judgmental way. I knew that my life was built for more than that. Right. And I felt that deep in my heart and soul. And that's when, it took me 2 or 3 relapses to actually get clean. I've been clean since 2016. But yeah. So that's kind of a short version.
Mine was, when I just turned 17, I got into a car accident because I was under the influence of drugs, and I nodded out at the wheel. I went through a program, I got released, and then I got caught for distribution of drugs. So they threw the book at me. I got 10 years, and then they sent me to prison. So I'm like, yeah.
Jellycats said, asked me if I'd end up doing the 9 years. No. So, well, yes, technically I'm not off probation until June of this year. But so the way that it worked is I did my
probation.
I didn't know either. I called my PO the other day to ask my old PO. I don't even remember what I was asking. It was something for a friend. And because I'll call him with questions like that sometimes. We have a good relationship. And I was like, hey, and while I have you on the phone, why am I still on Conweb? Because everyone else I know that's off paper is not on Conweb anymore. And he was like, because you're still on probation. I was like, oh. Good to know.
Yeah.
For anyone that doesn't know, Conweb is a Montana. I think it's local to Montana. So anybody in the state of Montana who has a criminal record, it won't search federal. Federal, you have to go to a different search engine. But anyone in the state of Montana, you can look up their charges that they've gotten, as long as they're still on probation. And I don't know
if you're ever suspicious about somebody, get their last name, and you can see exactly who they are.
You can look them up.
Charges they have. Yeah.
Every state has a website like that. But yeah, conweb.com is where you can go and look people up. My picture's horrible, you guys. Don't look at it.
Don't look at it.
But no, I did not end up doing, I didn't do any of that time in prison, I guess I should say. So I did my time in pre-release, and then I got out, and then I was on probation. Oh gosh, okay, so I was there in I got out of pre-release in 2018. And then by 2021, I had done well enough on supervision for long enough, and met certain requirements of my conditions that they basically let me. I guess I'm still on probation. I didn't know that, but I don't have to check in anymore. I don't have to do any of that stuff. I still have to follow all the same rules, which is just basically don't get in trouble. So that's pretty easy. But technically, say that I was drinking and driving and got pulled over. I'm on a 5-year sentence right now, and it's
They can
suspended. So
really,
yeah, if I got in any kind of real trouble, they could give me all 5 years back plus whatever time they would give me for that new offense. So
I got off parole. God, almost 3 years ago. Testing for like drugs, so they drug test you when you're still on probation and parole.
yes.
So you have to go in and take a urinalysis test and make sure that you're clean and sober.
Yeah, because it's just, I mean, obviously, it's a lot of the people in the system are drug addicts. Let's just be honest. You know, they're drug addicts, and they're mentally unstable people. And so it's really likely that they're going to reoffend. So you have 5 more. No, Lizzie, I'm serving my last 5, and that 5 years will be over in June of this year. I think it's the 21st. I don't remember the
Well,
day.
basically, I wouldn't say serving. It's you're under supervision. When you get
Yeah.
released, you still finish your time. Like in Montana, you only
Right.
have to do pretty much a quarter of your time, or they'll give you like an agreement to go to treatment, do a program, whatever. And if you complete your program and you stay clean, sober, law-abiding citizen, then you can continue probation and be released off of probation.
Yep. So
Marijuana, if you are on supervision, some POs,
doesn't fly.
some don't care, but especially in Montana, it's a lot different too because it's not as populated and the crime rate is not as heavy as here. I live in Vegas now, but you are not allowed to smoke and you are not allowed to drink on probation or parole. You are not allowed to be in a bar. You are not allowed to. A lot of the times you have curfews. You're not allowed to be out past a certain hour. Yeah, you're just under supervision. It's like you got a babysitter. You can't do nothing.
And then Lizzie asked, I don't know if this is a question. She said not legal in Montana. So it is, recreational is legal in Montana. The problem is that it's not federally legal yet. And the state will, for supervision purposes, they still follow all federal guidelines. So even though statewide it's legal, federally it's not. Now, I will say, there's some people in the system who are just doing what they're supposed to be. They're not a thorn in their PO's butt. And I will say that I've seen people get away with smoking marijuana here while on supervision. It's not as common. I do know in bigger areas, a lot of POs, honestly, if you're using marijuana, it's kind of the least of their problems. You're not doing crazy stuff. So it does depend, I would say, department to department, but in general, no, it's not federally legal.
Yeah, it's your honesty with because if you're being sneaky and hiding stuff from your PO, you're gonna go back very quickly. And that was one thing that I had to like learn because I was in the system. I've been in the system since I think I got on probation, juvenile probation when I was 15 years old. Because I started my addiction super early. I got in trouble for drugs. I had a problem, at a very young age. But there was one time when I got released and I was doing really well. I was working 2 jobs. I was at the gym. I was doing my self-help. I was doing the things that were good for me. I would always be honest with my PO, and I had somebody that didn't care for me and called my PO and told them I was at the bar. And God, I can't remember if but I don't know. He called me and he was like, "Hey, D, like, I just like we had such a good relationship." He was like, "I know you're good, but because somebody called you in, you have to come in and do a test now." And I did,
Yeah,
and I wasn't doing nothing wrong, nothing. I went in and tested, and that was that, you know. But if
right.
you're being sneaky and you're hiding things, and if you're like, "Hey, I messed up, I need some help,"
There
most of the time, your POs are going to be very cool with you because all
yep.
they don't want to investigate. They don't want to search for
No.
you. Make their lives easier. Do what's right. Do what's in. If you do fuck up, you just tell them, you know.
Right.
And most of the time, they'll get you the resources that you need.
Lizzie said Idaho's not legal, right? Washington State, yes. I believe. Okay, so I don't know for sure. I will tell you just from my days in addiction that we called Idaho the gauntlet because driving through it is like driving through a gauntlet. It's so
That's
scary.
like
They
North
have the
Dakota.
harshest
North
penalties.
Dakota.
Yeah, they throw the book at you there. So it's really just a sketchy area if you're trying to get away with anything. I'm not condoning that or trying to tell people to do that. I'm just saying. Yeah. So then we have some really good questions in here. Let's see. Ree said, was it hard to adjust when you got back out?
Yeah. I would, for me, because I'm kind of breaking my mentality, but I've been in the system a long time, and I did do a long stretch. I was in county for a long time, and then I did a couple of years in prison, and then I was in my inmate worker program, which was my conditional release to be paroled out of prison. And I just knew a lot of people in there. I became friends with a lot of people that weren't good for me. They didn't have nothing to lose, and I'm not blaming them. I made my own choices, but I did have when I first got out, um, I wanted to make my big thing was I wanted to make fast money. I knew that I could come up with money very quickly if I sold this and that. And you know, I there was a little situation where I almost got caught, so I stopped, but I still kept my friends that were doing it around me, and you can't do that. If you don't cut the people
No.
off that are still in that lifestyle, they will drown you too. Because I
Yep.
remember my ex asked me to give her a ride, and we were not seeing each other at the time. And so I did. I felt bad for her. I did, and she met up with this really sketchy lady, and I was very confused. So I hopped out of the car, and they were doing an exchange, and I'm like, you know, I'm like still down, but like this is not what I'm doing, you know, like
Right.
fuck this. And I remember this lady was asking a bunch of questions, and I'm like, get in the car, like this is definitely an undercover, like we are no. And
This is
I
all
got
bad.
into the car. Yeah, I got into the car, and I'm like, I'm leaving. This is not what I'm partaking in. I'm good on this. You know, how dare you put me in this situation? And all of a sudden, there's 5 cop cars behind me. Rip me out of the vehicle, put me on the sidewalk, put me in cuffs, and they found a scale. Sorry. And she admitted it was hers, and they said, you are lucky that it is so full, or you would go too. And that was my aha moment of you cannot have these people around you, you know?
Right. Right, absolutely. Lizzie said, "I'm sorry if this is an uncomfortable topic." No, Lizzie, we that is exactly what we're here for. We want to share our experiences with people. We love the questions and truly if we're ever uncomfortable answering something, we'll let you know. We won't, so just don't worry about um if it's uncomfortable because we're totally down to talk about this kind of stuff. Galen said, "Was it hard to find a job when you got out?" Yes, for different reasons than you would think for me. Truly, a lot of my biggest so when I moved to Billings, this is in the pre-release is why I moved back here to be closer with my mom and all of that. And I wanted to get out of Kalispell where I'd grown up, just to get away from all those people because it was just too hard for me to not kind of like Dee said, it's like you think you're just giving a friend a ride. And then the next thing you know, you haven't checked in with your PO for 3 weeks and it's all bad. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd done it like twice already. And I was like, okay, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to build a new life. So when I got into the pre-release, I had to learn. I don't know if anyone in this chat has ever been to Billings, Montana. Driving downtown is horrendous until you learn it. There's so many one ways, and it's just so hard. They have a bus system here, but it runs really weird hours. I was used to the only bus system that I'd ever really used was the one in Spokane. So I was used to them running a lot more. So it was really hard, like to find reliable transportation to get to a job was my
Because you cannot
biggest.
drive in
Yeah,
Montana
you can't
pre-release.
drive
You're
when
not
you're in the
allowed to have a
pre-release.
vehicle. Dude, I walked like 5 miles to work in the middle of winter and walked back in the middle of night. Like
Me and
you and it was just to be out of the pre-release too. To get I did not
right.
care what I had to do. I worked 24/7 when I was allowed to work. Like, but I don't know. I don't think it was too hard to get a job in the like in reasons of like my charges. I think that well, a lot of people have drug charges. They just do.
Mhm.
Addiction is huge. There's the opiate pandemic. Montana, it has a lot of drugs that come in from other states, the reservations, things like that, you know. But
Right.
I don't think it was too hard for me to like land a job, but there was definitely obstacles getting to the job and keeping the job. But
Yeah.
I'm a worker. I've always been a hard worker. I've always had a job. I've always been doing something. So, I mean, I did whatever I could to just keep my job and keep making money and get out of there.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely once I got a job, it wasn't too hard. I do know it really depends on your charges too. Like I really wanted to apply at this bank call center here when I first got over here, but I couldn't even with accountability to felony theft charges because it said theft in the title. They don't care. They don't look at what happened and see like the facts of the case. They just look at the charge and say yes or no is really how it works.
Mhm.
Reset, it's basically like starting from scratch without a safety net almost. That would be so difficult. That's very
But
true.
also so grateful for pre-release in that fact because
Yes.
that is your safety net.
Yes.
And that's again, we're going to keep going back to what our big dream is from this podcast and what we're working towards is to create like in bigger cities there's sober living houses, but it's not set up the way that like the Montana pre-release was. Like I don't know, there's so many different things that they did for you. There's programs. You could get rides. They kept account of your money. It was very low rent until you got to a certain point in your program that you would start paying higher rent and things like that. But I was super grateful for pre-release.
Me
It would have been
too.
really hard to be released and have absolutely nothing and start from absolutely nothing. I was
Right.
housed. I had the opportunity to get a job before I had to pay rent.
Right.
And then I'd back pay the rent that I was there for. But when you're in pre-release, you're like, get a job now because you just want to be out of the center too. You don't want to sit in the center all day with and do nothing.
No. And truly, you have to think like, what is the statistic? What, 2 or 3% of people overcome their addictions, right? In
Mhm.
like general, I think 2 to 3% of the women in there, and that's being generous, are trying to change. So it is incredibly. I actually got like a lot of people when I was in there. I struggled making like, well, I didn't really want to make friends if I'm being honest. But I struggled because of that. Because they're like, oh, you just think you're better than everybody else. You just think you like blah blah blah. I had people offer me pills the first 4 days I was there, and when I didn't take them, they all looked at me like I was a judgy bee. You know, and that wasn't the case. I just didn't want to destroy my life with them. And I didn't want to make friends with these people because I didn't want to open myself up to that. I didn't want these kinds of friendships. And I'm not saying there's a lot of people who have found really, actually, some of my greatest friends that I'm still friends with to this day, I met in pre release, which is funny. But the majority of the women in there, I feel like almost like you can tell like when you're around someone that just has really good energy, you're like, I want to hang out with that guy, you know? Um, it's kind of the same in the pre-release. You can tell pretty quickly who wants to change and who doesn't, as long as you're being true and accountable with yourself, you know? So yeah, I agree though, D. It definitely and two for me, it was motivation because that place sucked. It was good. It was good to get us on our feet, but like as far as like the
Well,
emotional situation of living with
it
that
was
many women and all that.
And
it motivated
there's
me to never
always
go.
fights breaking out. There was always drama. And then to top it all off, some of the people that worked there there's just, it's power and control when people work in the system. There's a lot of great people that are there for the right reasons. But then there's also the people that really just have power and control issues. And I stand by that. I have dealt with a lot of fucked up officers,
Right.
people that want to see you fail. There was one girl that came in there and like the way that she would like I'm like, girl, we did our time. Like we are like working our way out of this. Like she was treating us like animals. Like we had no, and I'm like, you don't even know who we are, what our charges are. Like, you know what I mean? Like some of us, there's so many young women in there too, like very young. Like we are not the only ones that went in when we were 17, 18 years old. There's a
Yeah.
lot of young girls in there trying to find themselves. And when you have people that are constantly just trying to keep knocking you down because of the things that you did, like our past does not define us, and the people that we become is way more important than the people that we were.
Hmm.
When you have people that are constantly, oh, you're this and that, it's hard to overcome that. It really is.
Yeah, it is. Caitlin said Dress for Success was a great resource too.
Yeah.
I did so much with them. I don't Dress for Success, I'm almost positive is a national. They're I don't know if they're in every place, but they are in a lot of places. So for those of you that don't know, Dress for Success is a company or like a nonprofit, and they help women, not just incarcerated women, but women in general, women from shelters. They use referrals from doctors' offices, mental health professionals, all kinds of people, is a way to get a referral to Dress for Success. And what they'll do, one of their bigger programs that people use is when you get into the pre-release, you can go down there and meet with a kind little woman. They have volunteers, and there's this whole boutique, and they give you everything, you guys. They'll give you jewelry,
Business
watches,
clothes.
makeup, shoes, 3 or 4 outfits to wear to an interview. They'll basically set you up for success in that area where a lot of people have that financial barrier. They can't go out and buy 4 new outfits to do interviews in. And that kind of stuff. I did so much with them. They had a mentor program I went through. And I had a mentor that I met with once a week, and she helped me with so much, down to building a budget, setting expectations for when I got out, because it is different when you get out, to just adjust to everything, to adjust to your freedom, to adjust to making all your own choices again. Because for a lot of these people who have been incarcerated, they're told when to eat, they're told when to shower, they're told when they can shave, they clean at a certain time, they go outside at a certain time. They're used to being told what to do all the time. And so getting out with all this freedom can be just super overwhelming. Oh, cool. So Lizzie said that it's a great program. So yeah, um it must be around, and they always need donations. Yes, they do. If you are looking for somewhere, because I do think that at least our location only does women. So
I think they
if
have a
you're,
don't they have something for men's for the men pre-release or no?
I don't know. I'm not positive. I don't think so. I'm not sure. I can't say positively. But if there is a Dress for Success in your area and you have clothes that you're wanting to donate to someone, please if you can donate to them, because they are fantastic. They help so many people.
Yeah, for real.
Um,
Heather lives in Vegas too. Whoop whoop. I moved here like
and
3
Lizzie
years
said it's
ago.
only women that she knows of. I
Oh,
think that
okay.
that is correct.
I'm like, the men's got to have a resource for their clothes too, though, I would think.
Yeah.
But
Well, I
maybe
know that
it's probably
even
not
in the
Dress for Success,
women's,
but they probably have some type of program for them.
well, they have the St. John's, the remember, because they'll give you a voucher to go down to the thrift store
Oh,
and spend like
yeah.
$50 or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get you some clothes to get on your feet at least. And then, yeah. But can
Yep.
you?
Lizzie said that they also help the recently homeless. Yes. Do they help everybody? It's not, there's no conditions on, you don't have to make a certain amount or not make enough, or there's no, if you need clothes for an interview or you need resources, they will help.
Yeah, yeah, it's an amazing program. It really is. And they're also sweet. I mean, for Dress for Success, when I went down there, they're just so like the people that work there, like they love their jobs, you know? They're great.
Yeah. Maybe
So
one
when
day I can, since so many people in here know Dress for Success, I did an interview with them out of beauty school that I have somewhere in my Facebook. Maybe I could show you guys sometime. It's kind of cute. I hate watching myself talk, you
oh,
guys.
I watched it.
I know I said some cool, I was like, and then then they made like a little like clip with me, a picture of me and my like inspiring quote. I was like, thank you.
Girl.
Thank you. Princess wave. I get on one ad and I feel famous.
Yeah. Girl, do they know me when you're walking through all? They know me. Bree. Ouch. Ooh, my foot. Similar to my last question, was it a shock to the system acclimatizing?
Yeah, like
Okay, way to make me
acclimating.
feel stupid, Bree. Okay, that's what I was saying to for this. What was the
Acclimating.
most difficult? Okay, I was gonna say acclimating, but I was confused by the spelling. I don't know. I was definitely scared when I first went in. I was definitely.
Candace is here.
Oh, hi, Candace. Oh, that's my girl. She went. Yeah. Oh God, Candace is a ride or die, man. Got so much love for Candace. Seriously. I don't know what was it hard acclimated? Yeah, it was for a little bit, but then you kind of get. I personally got sucked into a bunch of dumb stuff. I was very young. I was very angry at the world. I was very pointing the fingers, and it was really easy to get wrapped up in all the drama there too. But and then coming out of it, it was difficult for me. I did a long stretch of time, so to have that freedom and to have these certain things, and you have all of these little things going through your mind. Well, maybe I could get away with this. You still have your like your criminal
Criminal
thinking.
thinking. Mm-hmm.
And to be able to like pull yourself out of that and steer yourself where if I have girl, I ain't stealing a chopstick. You know what I mean? Like you couldn't get me to break the laws and stuff now. You just couldn't, you know?
Right.
But it was hard getting out, and like even I had a lot of anxiety when I got out because you're just like in the store and there's so many people around you and there's so many things going on when you're like on this set schedule and this is what you do every single day and this is how your routine, like it's so different. It's being institutionalized too. Like you get stuck in that mentality, you get stuck in a routine, you get stuck in so many things. So to work through all of those things and have your own sense of reality again and what your life is going to look like is difficult.
I think
And
a lot of
especially people that
people,
have done long stretches of time. And you don't
right. Well,
know,
because,
everything's new when you get out too. There's like
right.
the technology and everything, like you're at like a stop. Like everything else is still going on in the outside world, and what your reality is these walls. And there's so many different things when you get out and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know about this. I didn't know about this. And it's like, it's a crazy feeling.
Is it the same in prison? Do you think, like, I feel like, because I never did prison time. I never went to the Montana State Prison here. I only did time in county. But I feel like most people, like when they get in and they're gonna be there for a while, because if you're getting in and you're gonna be there for a week, like unless it's like your very first time in jail, most people are like, oh, what, I'm gonna sleep for a week, take a vacation, it's gonna be good. But if you're gonna be there for a while, if you've got like pending criminal charges, things like that, most people get in there and they sleep. They sleep for a while before they start like waking up and coming to life. And like, I wonder, is it?
I was so worried about people taking my stuff and just like having to sit with like, this is your reality and this is where you're going. Because I knew when I went in, I tried everything to get out and I was not getting out. They were not going to let me out. There was no OR. And then also watching women that are telling on each other and doing all this horrendous shit and getting out, and coming in and out, in and out, in and out. That's hard to adjust to too, because I'm like, I've been in this same county jail for a year and a half, and I've seen the same walls for
Right.
a year and a half. And there's people coming in and out, and they keep doing stupid shit. And like, I don't even, and that's a hard thing to grasp too. Is I didn't have the opportunity to do better when I got out, but I had some opportunities. You know what I mean? And just to be able to let your reality sink in, and this is your life for a while. It's a hard pill to swallow. It is.
Right.
I lost it, dude. And then I would take out my anger on everybody else.
Right. Right. Because you don't know where to place it, you
Mhm.
know? Especially because I feel like how long do you think it took you to like quit being mad at everybody else? Like about like do you feel like you were mad at other people for being in prison or had you already accepted that by the time you made it there?
By the time I got to the prison, yeah, I was in county for almost 2 years. Because they kept pushing back my court dates and all and everything like that. But I don't think it probably took me probably a good 4 or 5 month stretch to realize that this is where I'm at. This is what we're
Right.
gonna do. And I did get comfortable pretty quickly in there. And being comfortable in a place like that is not a good thing. It's not.
No, no. Well, I know like even from my first husband, he like going back to prison was like going home for him. You don't pay the bills, you get
And
fed
as
3 meals a
many
day,
people. Mhm.
you've got a
They've gotta do
room, all
shit.
your homies are there. You know,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
still drugs in there. There's still all that
Well,
other stuff. Plus, nobody's going to try and hold them accountable for their kids in there. Mean, like they like it there, you guys. And that's really hard to I think deal with that aspect of it too, because there's people in there doing longer than you and shorter than you, and it can just really be hard. All the mixed personalities, the
mhm.
cliques, the especially I just feel like with women, it's so hard. I mean, especially working in salons and all that, and just being in the pre-release and jail. Like it's just so hard to have that many women with that many personalities in one place and not have personalities just clashing. Did you feel Ree wants to know, did you feel like you were watching your back all the time for fear of violence from others?
Um, I think county was a whole different ball game because you don't know the people that are coming in, you don't know the charges, they're in and out. When Montana is a women prison, it's like a big can I say it? It's like a big lesbian daycare. It is. There's high security, there's medium security, there's low security. I was on medium and then I was on high security. There's a lot of but the prisons, the difference between like men's prisons or even other prisons in different states, bigger crimes, higher crime rates, things like that. Because a lot of the women that are in prison are usually drug charges. Um, and there are girls. I've definitely had some scary women I've sat in the cell with. Um, I don't know. I feel like I was kind of cool with a lot of people. You know what I mean? Like I'm very
Mhm.
like I'm a chameleon too. Like I get along with
Right.
you, and you, and this and that. But I don't think I ever like yeah, there were certain times that things could get like, especially in the chow hall. You ate. I was in a medium security pod, and we ate with high security, and things would break out. But the prisons are definitely ran by the guards, and that's a big difference between a lot of other prisons. Is prisons are ran by inmates, and
Mhm.
they control shit, and you got shot callers, and there's not a lot of gang activity in Montana, and you ain't got these people that are running shit. The guards are so like if a fight breaks out, the whole prison is shut down for days. You
Right.
know, people don't want to do that, so people are on their best
Right.
behavior in there. They really
Right.
are. There's a couple times that yeah, I've definitely got into it there, but I don't know. It wasn't Montana's definitely a different game for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of the women that I was even in county with were definitely drug charges, but there was a lot of like I was in there with a woman who was abusing her stepkids and, like, locking them in a
Yeah.
it was really bad. I was in Polson with a lady who had, like, her unalived her nephew, and he was in their bathtub for, like, weeks, you guys, and they
Oh,
found him, and
yeah.
she had kids in the house, like, it was all bad, and I don't
Like,
know if you guys
very
have ever seen the movie Orphan. I don't I'm
oh
curious if
god.
anyone's ever seen the movie
Yeah.
Orphan, because there's this scene where I won't ruin the movie if you haven't seen it, but basically, I'm gonna ruin it. If I say it, I can't say it. She takes these fake teeth out, and you see it in the way her teeth were, and it reminded me that that girl in county who did that to her nephew, totally her mouth just reminded me that. It was so scary, you guys. I just, like, every morning woke up, these people were talking about, like, getting high and, like, crawling around bushes and crawling through people's windows, and I was just in there, like, shocked. I was just like, "Oh my god, like, take my breakfast, don't beat me up." Like, I was genuinely pretty terrified in Polson, like, because it's a res, and
My
it would there was
first
just a lot going on. It was really scary.
when you hit the prison, I got called
Yes.
the little snow bunny and the white girl because there is a lot of it's a lot of and there's a lot of divided shit from Native Americans and the white girls in there, you know, and um I definitely felt like I had to prove myself when I first got there. My first cellie was in there for stabbing a man 87 times. And she told me the whole story. And then she went and jumped the impound lot and blew up her car, blew up the evidence. And she got caught because she got in such a daze because of the explosion from her car. And then my other cellie, uh, I didn't know her crime for a long time, and it's the people that you're in there with. It's hard to sit with them, and also in the Montana prison, they're protected too. Sex offenders are protected. If you hit a sex offender, you will be charged with a hate crime. I had a girl that got in a fight with a sex offender,
What?
and she got charges, and it was a hate crime because of her charges. hmm She hit
What?
somebody diddling little kids and fucking justified. I'm sorry, I don't give a shit. They are not be. I will not treat them like human beings. You just
Wow.
won't.
That would
You
be
won't sit at my
hard.
table. You won't. You know, but you kind of
They
learn who to navigate with and who not to in there. And I definitely had some. There was this girl PH in prison, and she was a full blown dude. She was huge, like, and nobody would fuck with her, you know. And that was my homegirl. Oh, okay.
right? Now you see why I had the roommate I did,
But I
D.
also had a temper too. You know, like, yeah, yeah. I mean, oh,
Ree
it's
said
so
it could
crazy
be
to think
worth
back
it.
on those times.
I love
Yes.
that.
Oh yeah, Ree, it so is, dude. It so is. But
I think
when you lose your time over people that ain't worth shit, that's when
right,
it's
and that
not
aren't
worth
gonna
it, you know?
change. That's what you have to remind yourself at the end of the day. You beating up that person's not gonna make them be any different, you know? That's the unfortunate thing. Do female are basically are inmates, female inmates as strict on child abuse cases?
You know what is sickening is when I was in there, I did have a lot of beef with there is a girl that murdered her children, put them in a trunk and drove around with her kids' body. Oh yeah. Just sick shit. And there's people that are like cool with sexers and it's not. And it's really it was hard because that's kind of where fights would break out because of people being cool with people like that, or you know, like I had a lot of drama with one girl I did 3 months in the hole with because she was cool with somebody like that and she thought she was going to come kick it, and I'm like, hell no, I don't associate. I never talked to any of them. I didn't give them the time of day. Like, you are not going to
Right.
be. I will not treat you as a human being. You kids, you diddle kids. Hell no. Don't sit with me. Don't look at me. Don't talk to me. That's period, point blank. But I will not sit here and do more time for somebody that is as worthless as that. I won't.
Right, right. Candace said, being from Washington and going to Montana, the reservations are so different, and the divide from the culture slash ethnicity is so much stronger in Montana. Culture shock for me, big time. I
Mhm.
agree. So I
It
grew up
is.
most of
Even
my
here,
life.
yeah.
Sorry. I grew
No,
up
go
most
ahead.
of my life in Kalispell, and I'm really bad, you guys. I'm definitely, I say, geographically challenged, okay? I don't know which reservations are on which side of Montana. We have quite a few here, but over by Kalispell, there's the other reservations, and the Native Americans, like growing up, I never saw like in Billings, there's a extreme population of homeless Native Americans, and I'd never seen that. The Native Americans that I had seen for the most part over in Kalispell were like very well put together. Like it was really shocking for me to see that when I even moving from Kalispell to Billings, it was like, and not that it's like shocking in any weird way. I was just like, I had never experienced that before. So it's definitely something that I was like, wow, I want, like, you just wonder what's the difference, you know? Um, but yeah, it was definitely a culture shock for me, even moving from one side of Montana to the other. QD, do we have Heather wants to know if there's a Dress for Success in Vegas.
I
I'm
don't
not
know,
sure.
Heather. Yeah, I didn't do
I
any
can
time
look.
here in Vegas. Yeah, we could Google it. I'm sure they have a lot of great resources here, though. I've found out um, for lots of different circumstances of men, women, children. Um, Definitely need more though, but I'm not sure. I actually moved out of Montana to escape a lot of the things I've witnessed and was around in Montana.
Sorry, give me 1 second. I'm gonna look it up really quick.
It's probably not called that.
I bet it is because it's nation.
Oh, is it?
Uh-huh. So if you Google Dress for Success Vegas, the first thing that comes up is Dress for Success of Southern Nevada homepage. So it's
Oh,
looking like they do. If you just Google Dress for Success Vegas, I think you could probably find resources for like where you could get referrals, or if you know anybody that might need referrals. Um, oh, Puka Vista says I am half Chippewa. That is super. I think that is that one of the tribes over here in Montana. I'm so bad at it. There's so many. It's hard for me to remember.
mhm.
But I think it is. I think that's one of the ones over here.
Oh, I gotta look it up. Or Pukavis is gonna help us educate us. Where's Puka Vista from?
Huh? Lizzie says it's sick every way you look at it, but the male prison, it's a death sentence. Absolutely. It really is. I think and I think too it
Well, there's
depends on
also
the
a
prison
lot more people
sometimes.
sitting here doing because the the system is so messed up. The system is so messed up because the girl I was talking about that stabbed somebody a horrendous amount of times did 7 years and got out and then ran from the pre-release and went back in. But with the men's prisons, there's it's different. It's very different in a men's prison, and there's people doing life, and there's they don't care. They're there for life. What do they have to lose? You know what I
Right,
mean? They're going to be the
right,
ones to make that call. There's a lot more. Yeah, it's very
right.
different.
Absolutely. Let's see. I'm just gonna scroll through these comments really quick and just make sure that
She's from
we haven't
Michigan.
missed anything.
I do want to do
Right.
something about the reservations and how many
Indigenous women are going missing.
there's Indigenous women going missing, the poverty levels. It's just sad, dude.
It,
People have, it's there's a lot of nobody educates themselves on what is happening in the reservations and the
oh,
murders and the violence on these reservations. I would really like to do an episode on that too, because we do need to talk about
absolutely.
all these indigenous women that are going missing and being sex trafficked, murdered. It's disgusting, and people don't talk
It's
about it enough. They don't.
And
It's
it's
wiped under the
happening.
rug because they are on the reservations, and it's
Yep.
bullshit. It's
And they're
bullshit.
not, what makes me so upset about it is that they just don't even get investigated. So many times I've seen
Oh
so
yeah,
many
it's swept
stories where
under
it's
the
not
rug.
even
Nobody
investigated.
wants to deal with it. It's bullshit.
It's very
Bullshit.
clear in a lot of cases that these women have been unalived, and it still just gets filed away. It's not investigated, it's not looked into, it's not researched, and it is really, really hard.
Yes, ASAP
Funded
Lizzie. I
upon.
was just talking
Oh,
about this, and
cool.
I said what was beautiful is nobody got offended by the comment that the black reporter said about yes. That she said that people don't look into these murders when when white women go missing. It's a huge case. There's the FBI. They're using every resource possible for this one person, but there's thousands of cases that have never even been touched or looked into. They saw it and they swept it under the rug. And when they were like, he researched it and educated himself about it, and he was like, had an understanding for it, and they did something. What beautiful people. What beautiful
Yeah,
people.
that's
They deserve
amazing.
that. And we need
Yep,
to talk about it more, and we need to have more justice for these women that are going
we
missing
do.
and their cases go, because we all got families, we
Nowhere.
all got people that love us, and we are all humans. We all deserve that. We all deserve that.
And two, like, I don't know if anybody else does this, but there's definitely, obviously take your own safety into account first. However, there was just a few weeks ago a situation where I was driving down the road and I saw this woman standing on the side of the road. She looked young. She looked like she could have been in high school. She might have been, a young adult. I'm not sure. And I drove past initially. There's like a truck backed up to her and she was facing away from it. And initially I drove past, but that feeling just stuck with me. And I was like, I'm going to turn around. And I did. I went and I turned around and I just pulled up next to her and I said, "Hey, are you okay? Is this person bothering you? Do you need a ride somewhere?" And she was like, "No, I'm okay. I'm okay." And I could tell, I don't know what was going on. I didn't stay and find out. I didn't push or anything like that. But I just had this gut feeling that maybe I should turn around and ask her. And even though she said she didn't need help, guys, I'm so thankful I did it, because I would have probably been sitting here today thinking, what if that girl needed help? Because I just
Yeah.
had that gut feeling. I had that gut feeling enough to drive past and still turn around.
Yeah.
And when you see things that are weird going on, there's nothing wrong with stopping by and being like, "Hey, are you okay?" And just checking in on people.
I've done that with
Yeah.
quite a few women, and even like the bar scene, like going out and like as a bartender, I just had the on Saturday morning, this girl just started kind of pouring out to me about some of the relationship problems. And like maybe 45 minutes later, this big man just comes in and his demeanor, and he like kind of pulls her out of the bar, and I'm like, "Hey, I won't say her name, but I'm like, you didn't pay your tab." And she did. But I just slipped her my number, and I'm like, if you are not okay, call me and I will get you help, like, and that's so important for us to look out for each other in situations, even if it's, the girls that are belligerent at the bar and men trying to take them home. I'm the first one to, you're a fucking predator, get away from her. Like, like, we really do have to watch out for each other in this world. There's too much things that go
Right.
on, too many people that go missing, and yeah.
Bree makes a good point. She said in Ireland they set people up to rob or take that way. Like, so someone's standing on the side of the road looking like they need help. I don't know.
They do
It's a
that. I
hard
think they
one
do
for
that
me, Ree.
everywhere.
I know it's hard for me because I do agree, and I don't know, I just had that gut feeling in that moment, but also I was really close to home. But I don't know, even if you just keep someone on the line, I could call D and be like, "Hey, I'm gonna go stop by and check on this person.
Don't get
Can
out
you
of
just stay
your
on the phone
vehicle
with
and
me?"
stuff. Call the authorities. Do
Yeah.
something. Don't take it into your own
Yeah.
hands. That's not what we're
Yeah.
saying at all. Because
No.
we are very aware. There was a huge trafficking thing that was going on, and people were leaving little things on people's cars. And the minute you went to grab it, that's when it's like, you do have to educate yourself and know your surroundings, and don't get out for people. Don't go like put yourself in a terrible situation. But I'm gonna tell you what, if I see somebody screaming and hollering, I'm gonna follow them and I'm gonna be on the phone with 911.
Yep. Yep. But thank you for saying that too, because that's a good point. I
Yeah.
didn't want to seem like I was telling everyone to just go. And also, if there's,
Yeah.
domestic abuse happening or something like that, and you see it, call 911 and stay where you can see, but don't involve yourself. Like don't go put yourself in danger. But if you see something, there's nothing wrong with calling the non emergency and saying, hey, there's this girl
This
standing on the
person's
side of the road, and I don't feel comfortable stopping by myself, but this person might need help. The situation looks very uncomfortable, and just send someone. Yeah. And reset, I'd still probably check. Exactly. Just make sure you're safe first and foremost, of
Right,
course.
right. Make sure you're
Yeah.
safe, but definitely say something if you feel, dude, again, our intuition does not lie. You can tell that something is not right, call it in, see, make sure they got
Right.
help, make sure that we got to do what we can for each other.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Well, my kid is so hyper in the background. He is ready for mom time. Um, if you're ready to wrap it up,
Yeah. It's been a
he's being
long
a
one.
little hellion back here, so I got to go give him some attention and love. He's been on the
Yes.
phone with Mariana's daughter the whole time. They just had a toothbrushing contest.
Oh, very good. Lizzie says she has a story about a situation like that. It's funny. Maybe another time. Lizzie, I'm going to be really
Oh
sad if we
yeah,
don't hear this next time. I'm
Lizzie,
going to
you
be
better
very
be on
sad.
the next one. We're ready for this.
Thank you guys so much for coming out today. We just really
Yeah.
appreciate your support and your love. We appreciate you guys in the chat, chatting it up. It makes it so easy for us to be in here and talk with you guys. We appreciate you, and
And
just thank you all
if
so
there
much.
if there are
Go-
topics that you guys want to talk about, address, whatever, drop it in our videos. If you're replay crew, drop it in the comments. We're watching our comments all the time. We want to know what we want to talk about and what you guys want to hear, what you want to talk about. If you have a case on TV you want to talk about or us go over it, like feel free to
Yep.
drop it down. We're always open. But thank you for everybody in the chat, and yeah, we appreciate all the love and support. And have a good
Yeah.
night. Be safe, and we'll see you. What are we doing Thursday? Thursday is going to be our
Yeah.
next live.
Yep. We
Are we
don't know
doing
when
morning
yet,
or
but we'll
evening?
try and
Okay.
post. We'll try and post a
Okay.
thumbnail so that you guys can see ahead of time.
Yeah, hit the like button for us. Subscribe if you haven't. Make sure you like the video. And we appreciate you guys so much.
Bye.